everybody. Welcome to another episode of Design Recharge. It's episode 284, and I'm super excited. We are joined by Jay Ratner. I have asked him to be on the show, I think, like 3 years ago, and he's just really busy, so I just got on his schedule. Maybe it was a couple of years, but
yeah, I'm glad we made it work.
But we did, and I'm so excited. And I'm going to call him Jay, and I know you're probably like, hey, you told us his name was Jason. And he's fine with anybody calling him either one. But he said, Jason or Jay is fine, but I'm going to go with Jay. So
whatever rolls off, that's good.
Right. And Josh Lewis from Colorado Springs. He's
yeah, Josh.
So you maybe got to meet him at Creative. Did you get to go to Creative South last year?
Not last year, but I've met Josh. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And Denise, and we got a bunch of other people. So I'm really excited to have everybody. So
awesome.
I'm just going to dig in. So you have, you grew up in New York, right?
Yes. Yep.
You went to art school in New York as well.
I did, in Brooklyn. I went to Pratt Institute.
Right, which is an awesome school.
It was great, yeah.
For sure. Okay, so you've had this lifetime love of Disney. Mm-hmm. And
as you can see behind me.
Right. So and you and I talked a little bit, and I think this kind of paints a good picture of you have been working there for 8 years, but you worked there in college. They have a summer kind of a program, I think, and it's for college, and you do lots of different things, right?
Yeah, so the earliest one was the college program where it was, I was just down here and working at one of the resorts, just getting that like Disney experience. So there really was no art component to that. And then it wasn't until the professional internship upon graduation was when I came back down and then worked for Disney destinations as a graphic design intern.
So like with the internship, a lot of times it's about, you're learning a lot. So what year were you were you about to be a senior in college or?
For the first internship?
For the one where you were actually doing design.
So that one was right after graduation. So because for those internships, you can either be having within 6 months of graduation or you can, still be enrolled in college. So that's the, prerequisite. So for me, it was cool because it was like right after I graduated. So the hope was that I'd come down, get an internship, and then hopefully stay on full-time for Disney because that was, my dream for sure.
Right. So you had, but you were realistic, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of people with that dream. I have lots of students who say, oh, I want to work at Pixar, or, people who are in animators and they say that that's where they want to work, or they want to work at Disney. And realistically, it doesn't happen for many people because most of the time it's a great company, just like Google or Amazon, or, they're really good companies that people don't really like to leave. And so usually they're not just like having hundreds of people, new employees, usually replace somebody, So with companies like this, where they are really good and they are great to their employees, the turnover is not as much as what most people would like, right? Like with Pixar or something.
Right.
So you get there, you decide, did you stay in Orlando even though you didn't have a full-time job with them?
Yeah. So upon the end of the internship, it just wasn't going to work out that I had a place to go to or a job available that I could apply for that was, right for me. So because I still my goal was to work for Disney, I was like, well, I'm going to stay in Florida because I don't know how long it could take for me to get back, but just being close to it. And if I had to jump on an interview or something, I just felt better about that and moving to Florida right after and just, sticking around and just hoping that I would, find a full-time job.
Right. Okay. So you do that. So you are, and you're still involved. You're still doing things. You were working another job full-time, doing design. What kind of design were you doing?
So I got a job with a trade show design company called Zarnowski. And so that was right after the internship. So of course I kind of went through this emotional state where I was like, oh God, I'm, not staying with Disney, but I want to stay here. And, what could be, of course I was applying for a lot of stuff because I wanted a job and I wanted to stay in Florida. But it just so happened that I found this job for this trade show company, and I was working within their creative agency for the entire company. So we kind of did a lot of marketing and sales materials for this trade show company.
So just normal kind of graphic design stuff, which
yeah, there was a lot of responding to RFPs and doing communications that went out to a lot of the sales team, and then stuff that we would create to go to their clients, and we even would collaborate with the 3D designers, like doing the 3D modeling for all these exhibits and creating some graphic work for that to help them. So there was a lot of that was kind of like the one favorite job over the many that I had before I got back to Disney, but there was a lot of different stuff. But I think that was a good experience coming right out of the internship.
For sure. So
yeah.
When you how from the time that was that job, your first job out of school that wasn't the internship, to 8 years ago when you got the job with, I think you're in sales and marketing, right?
Yeah, we're under sales and marketing. Yeah.
So because I think some people think, oh, you work at Disney, you make movies, right? Right?
No, I don't make movies.
But I think people think, normal people might think that, maybe not designers. My mom probably doesn't know what an RFP is. And Mom, it's a request for proposal, just so you know.
Yeah.
So Andre wants to know, what do you think? And if you don't feel comfortable, you can say, I don't feel comfortable answering this. He says, what do you think of the realistic remakes movies of masterpiece animations that Disney's doing?
Oh, like the live action adaptations?
I guess so. He said probably the animated drawn. Personally, he says the animated drawn movies are so much better.
I mean, I don't compare them because it's such a entirely different.
Well, it's two different audiences too. I think, right?
Like a different take on the same movie. I don't know. I've loved all of them that have come out, like the Jungle Book, and Lion King. I think is going to be amazing. I've really enjoyed them. So,
do they keep the music the same?
There are some, yeah. There's a good. I think they try to add some new, touches to stuff to kind of, bring something new to it. But yeah, and that's everybody's got their own opinions about movies and stuff.
Well, so Disney would sort of be in that same realm of where Fraser Davidson and T.J. Harley and Joe Bosack are doing college, logos, sports logos. There's so much emotion in, and there's so much memory, I think, good memories. And that's why I feel like, Andre really loves the old stuff, because it brings back these memories of just this amazing life as a kid or something, or the way you got away, or the magic of Disney, right? So, but this will be what it is for some kids, and it's just a different take on it.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit further. So, did you tell us how long it was? I think I just didn't let you tell me.
No, from until I got back to Disney, or
yes.
So it was about 5 years before I got back. Finally found a job at Disney doing graphic design. So
you're still applying in those 5 years if you see anything come up, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. There's not always tons of stuff that comes up in the creative areas. So, I probably was checking on a daily basis, for those 5 years, at least once, twice, 8 times a day.
That's a huge commitment to do. And it's also, it can be really hard on you emotionally, I would think, if it, not that you're being rejected, but that there's just nothing opening and it's just not what you wanted, and pursuing. It's a long-term goal, and that's why.
Yeah, and I can't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure there's positions I applied for at Disney and just didn't get. So it was definitely hard to go through that, but I still was still building a life in Florida and was enjoying it, and I loved at least being near the parks, because of course just loving Disney. My wife moved down right after she graduated a semester after me, so we had a place here, and was just building a life here and enjoying being close to Disney because we both loved it. And so for that time, that was enough to kind of like keep the Disney,
right,
love going. So I just kind of stuck with it. And
so I would think that way for anybody, somebody who wanted to work for Disney or Pixar or Google, or, say they wanted to work at a university or they wanted to work at a firm. Obviously a bigger company or a firm or school is going to be better because there's going to be more opportunities. Right. And with Disney, it has a lot of opportunities, like Google has a lot of opportunities for designers, I would think.
But yeah, I mean, it probably happens this way for anybody,
but it's good to keep trying if that's really it. And I think if you give up early, then that wasn't really a good goal, or a good dream. Maybe it wasn't a good fit for you. So I love this question. Carly asks, she said, this is a simple question, but is there a particular Disney movie or experience that inspired you to want to work for them?
Oh,
that sounds like a great interview question.
That's really good. It might be general, but growing up, we went to Disney, doing family vacations, and from there it kind of sparked my love for it. But of course, some of the earlier films, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, those were coming out when I was really starting to trying to teach myself to draw. And I'd have all the get all the books and stuff and tried tracing the characters and then trying to draw them on my own, and kind of continued with that. And the films from that time, so Lion King as well, Pocahontas. So I think those animated features definitely sparked, the real drive for wanting to do some kind of art for Disney at that time. Graphic design, I probably didn't even know about really. So it was more about drawing and, just enjoying, that art. So I think those films probably really ignited this, Disney fire for the art part of it. So
was there anybody in your family that was in design, or who taught you about that word design, and how did you know to study that?
No, it's funny, but I do remember my brother was taking art classes, like even before I started drawing, and I was jealous of that. And so that was something, that's kind of the first time I remember like really wanting to do art, because I saw him doing it and I wanted to do it. And he's not doing art, but he's like creative writing and stuff, so that
cool.
Still a creative guy. But I don't know, I think from there, once I started with like the movies, like drawing the characters and stuff like that, that's kind of like the first time I think it was sort of just, I want to maybe pursue this art path, and it's going to be Disney, even though it may have fluctuated a little bit, till I, got into high school and all that. But so yeah, I don't know.
So Lorenzo asked a question. Did you either want to be a Disney kid being on their TV shows? She says you have that look.
Oh, thanks. I would have loved to be on the Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah, sure.
So did you ever apply? Like try out, like you have to go on it?
No.
So you didn't want it that bad.
Yeah, it probably was. It would have been cool, of course, but even today, I'm like, oh, these kids on the new Mickey Mouse Club, they're awesome. But yeah, no, I hadn't actually gone out for any of it. But
all right, so we're gonna go forward. So one of the questions I know, because you and I talked about this the other day, you've stayed with the same team, which now we're just talking to anybody who works in-house, right?
Yeah.
So say you work in-house, sometimes if it's a big enough company, you can kind of move from a department to another department, because sometimes it can get dull, or it's just the same thing. And some parts, we talked to Britt Davis at the very beginning of the year, and she works at the Falcons, and she's like, well, there's some stuff that's going to be the same. So that's kind of a peaceful time, right? And then there's every year they kind of rebrand the Falcons. And so I would think you have something similar at Disney. But so why have you in 8 years felt like, what are you doing or what is your team doing that keeps you engaged and motivated and driven for that same team for 8 years?
Yeah, there's definitely, I think, like you said, anywhere, there's things that we know can expect come year after year.
Mhm.
Sometimes there's modifications or changes and flexibility to do something new, and sometimes it is just a, refresh of the same thing. So, yeah, like you said, sometimes it's kind of nice to have those because it's sort of you know what to expect. You can
Right.
either get through it quickly or not, but it's something you can either get off your list fairly quickly because it's kind of an easy update. And even if it's more complicated, at least, maybe the overall like actual design is not changing. You're just updating a lot of content. I think for me too, like where I am, the team has a lot to do with it. I really
Mm.
love everybody that I work with, and we do support a lot of different areas. So with that, there are different types of projects always, flowing through. So, and some of those could be those repeat projects, but, and for some other areas, you are working with a lot of different people. So then there's just a lot of different, takes on even the same project that you might get year after year, because you might be working on it with a different person the following year. So, I don't know. I think I just, I know that there's a good variety of work where I am. And like I said, I've enjoyed a lot of the same people that I'm working with or I've been there since I started. So, it's been a good close family for a while. So,
And that's really important. So
mhm.
it really does matter about the people who are above you, the people who are next to you, and then the
Mhm.
people who you're also mentoring. I think
Yeah, for
those
sure.
things, and also they set the stage, they set the tone for what you're how the team feels, right?
Yep, for sure.
So so having all these different things coming in, is that one of the things that leads to you having fresh ideas, or does your team do something different? Like, do y'all have coffee every Wednesday, or do y'all do something together as like team building every year, or since you've
We
been together so many years, you don't do that?
we have coffee every day, Diane. Every day, twice a day at least. But yeah, we do try to, whether it's like team outings, sometimes like to just break away, get into the park for a little bit or do something, or even just going to lunch.
Mm.
And then, there's days where we can't get out or, we've got a lot going on, but there's like, some areas in the building where we've got, a lot of design books and stuff. And sometimes even just on my own, sometimes I'll just go down there to look through books just to, either it's specific, I'm looking for something specific to spark, something to influence on a project, or just,
Mm.
kind of looking to see what new stuff we've got. So there's some team building things that we do.
Are they all Disney books, or are they all kinds of books, like regular design books?
There are a lot of regular, like straight up design books, typography and stuff. So that's really great. And then we also get like a lot of the publications, communication arts, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So that is really good. And then we've got Skillshare and lynda.com if we want to do some of that stuff on our own. We've got that flexibility too, which is really helpful. So yeah, there's a good variety of stuff, which, I think you could have almost anywhere if.
Right. And I think that that's another good team building thing, is that maybe you can't do it on the clock, but they're
Right.
giving you access to learn and to grow, and they're not wanting you just to stay stagnant, so
Right.
that, because it helps them not to stay stagnant too. So
Yeah, for sure.
having those access to those things, if people are looking for jobs, maybe that's something that that could be one of the bartering things that they say, hey, could you get me access to LinkedIn Learning, which is now Lynda,
Right.
or lynda.com is now
Yeah,
LinkedIn
it's
Learning, or whatever.
LinkedIn, yes.
Or Skillshare, or a combination of both, or something like that. And I think that those things can really be game breakers for you moving forward in your career. Because I think that those are things you and I talked about, that those are some of the things that you've done, is you've done some of those things on your own time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So one of the things I always think when I talk to anybody from like a big company, or a company that everybody's like, ooh, it could be like the Falcons, right? A
Mm-hmm.
common misconception for working for a dream company or like Google or Disney or Apple is that you go home at 5 and that your hustle ends, right? That you can just kick back you've landed this dream job. Why is this a misconception? Because I'm pretty sure it is. And I'll ask you the rest of these. So why is that a misconception?
Because so for me, I mean, yes, Disney is my dream job, and I'm loving what I do. It's important, valuable work. Love the team, but everybody's always got passion projects, things they want to continue to pursue, skills they want to work on. Which, yes, there are opportunities to try and do some of that with projects at the office, but a good bulk of it, I think, is on us, yourself, to kind of make the time to put in some extra work to pursue some of those passion projects, or do some of those tutorials to learn new stuff. So plus for me, there's other opportunities that I could pursue, just trying to get my work more exposure, and some other things that I want to work on and learn how to do differently with some of my own personal projects. So yeah, for anyone, I think it's just finding the time, and which is the most difficult part of it. So
but it's also about, one of the things that probably makes you attractive to one of these great companies is that you do have that passion for learning, and that you do show that you have this passion project, and that you're not just going to kick back once you have this job, that you're going to continue pursuing and growing. And I think that that's a huge advantage for any company, and that it's a mindset, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's because I struggle with it a lot, because I feel like I'm supported at work and I have these things available to me, but I also have my workload and, things I need to get done at work, and then figuring out what my priorities are at home for those things that I'm passionate about, that I want to do, outside of work. So, for when I was actually, just after the internship ended, for a while, I was doing wedding invitation design. So, that was something I thought I was definitely interested in, and stationery and stuff, but I also wanted it for the financial component too. I, definitely wanted some extra work. Same with any freelance, really. That was just something I saw for myself that I would enjoy. And I had a booth at a bridal show to, promote my stuff. And I was doing that for a while. And then, still trying to take on some freelance work, even through some of my other jobs, just again, to have new stuff in my portfolio that wasn't just from my day job.
Right.
Because sometimes you can't always show a lot of things in your portfolio too, depending on where you are. So, it was just kind of trying to do everything and anything for a while.
So what is your side project, or one of them, because I think you've had many, and you've kind of had some goals. And I think that's one of the things that's one of your superpowers, is that you've kind of said, hey, I would love, so you had an Instagram picture recently, and I think it was from 2 years ago, and it was from the Wonderground project of the International Festival of the Arts that's at Disney. And I think it's going on now.
It is, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you were doing signings, but 2 years ago, you did not think that you would be a featured artist, but you are. You got to be a featured artist this year, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But what are some of these passion projects, and how long do these last for you?
I think I'm trying to, I've been doing, anytime I had extra time to do stuff on my own for myself, I would try. But I think for a while too, I was also trying to do freelance so I could make money on it. So it was very hard to find. It still is. It's hard to find time to just do, fun work for yourself.
So what constitutes fun work for you?
So I don't know when I can jump and show stuff, but
yeah,
I've got,
show.
So even just being at Disney and being a Disney fan, I've got just Disney type design projects that I've wanted to do that are just little, things here and there. And I think also ultimately it's about trying to, get my work a little more exposure and just doing like some really fun things that, were fun for me, but also could hopefully potentially draw some attention to, some of it that might help me obtain a certain, goal and dream that I've, been working towards for a while. So I can pull up one, a document that I've got, which for the most part, it starts up being, I'm a very big Sorcerer Mickey fan. So, I started a project for myself where I was going to do like various different Sorcerer Mickey hat things and figuring out like how many different ways I can.
So how long have you done this?
This has probably been over the last, these in particular, probably over the last like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I would say probably, so I've been with Disney almost 8 years. And I think starting then is when I really figured out like, that I really needed to be doing more of this, because not only is it like fun, but it's like, and for any designer, you doing things so you can like, better your skill set and like trying to do something new to spark your creativity and stuff. So it's like, I want to do it, but it's also a necessity for us, right? To kind of keep on top of.
For any designer, not a designer at Disney, but any designer.
And you'll see, I think with these, it's a good example because there's some of them, they're not any of them are the same. There's like different things that I'm exploring to try to like figure out, if I'm doing, if I'm thinking about a future project, is this the right style, or let me test this out. And I was kind of using the Sorcerer hat as like a test for maybe some future things. So
I love this project. And one of the things I love is that it's pretty simple of what your, what the thematic thing is, but they're so different. To me, I was like, whoa, I would have never thought, because you're really going a ton of different visual styles as well as like, you're going back in history, because there's one that's sort of Art Deco sort of looking, right? So, all right. So
it's just about being like, okay, well, this style inspires me. Is that something I can take on with this Sorcerer hat, Okay, so is that showing for everybody?
Yeah, it is. It's good. Okay. So can you make it a little bigger?
Yeah.
That's good. So is there anything that we're doing? Can you make it a little bigger now? Because there you go. That's good. Okay, that's okay. So are there any of these styles that you've done them on this side project and then you've been able to bring them into work?
Yeah. Into the, I mean, there's some, I think sometimes with these, it's, there, depending if we're doing any like custom new art, there is some limitations, but
sure.
There's a little bit. I think more for my personal projects and kind of things that I'm doing now outside of my full-time role, I think is where some of these came in handy. But I do just in even some other stuff that I'm doing for Disney, like on Disney Parks blog and stuff, some of these have influenced those pieces for sure. So that would, in the end, I mean, not in the end because I'm still going, but like more recently, I definitely can look back at some stuff and think like, wow, I'm glad I, tortured myself figuring this out or whatever, So I can just kind of breeze through some of these.
Yeah.
If you want me to stop or if there's questions, I can take some of that. They kind of started out fairly simple. And this, I believe, is in sort of timing order, kind of the newer. There's another badge. This one I got a little just more atmospheric with it. And
that's, to me, when I saw that, I was like, whoa, that's really different, I mean.
Yeah.
And then I even think going to then you have like the neon kind of glow as the next one.
Neon one. Which is one of my favorites, I think. And then this Art Deco, which
but I mean, then just the range there is so great. Like the line work is very different. So how often, so if these kind of go between the last 3 or 4 years, how often are you working on this sign project and then, or this side project, not sign project, I guess the neon threw me. Like, is it every week? Is it every month? Is it more often?
In the beginning, I was like putting a lot of pressure on myself to get more done quickly, just
Mm-hmm.
because I over the last 8 years too, I've become more heavily involved with social media and trying
Mm-hmm.
to put my work out there, and with that you put pressure on yourself to post things and stuff. So I was trying to do them pretty often, so 2 a month, 3 a month, I don't know. But I definitely slowed down quickly because one, it's like hard to find time. And
Mm-hmm.
then I was struggling to really be inspired to
Mm-hmm.
do different ones. So I just told myself, I was like, you know what? You're just going to wait until it comes to you. If you can seek out stuff to try to get inspired. But some of these just took a while to like really get to a point where I was like, oh yeah, I can jump in and do this, in this style.
So you weren't
Um,
forcing yourself. Maybe in the beginning you were, but then you stopped.
in the beginning, and it's like now I'm like, okay, I really want to continue it, but I'm gonna wait till something pops in my head. I used to just like throw the first hat on the screen and just like think and look through like, you know, other, design sites to try to get inspired by something. And which is fine too. Like, I think you still need to do that, and you need to like, push yourself for sure. But, when all of our time is valuable, and, you've got a lot going on, it's hard to like just take the time to sit and look at your screen for a while.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and then like this was a like, oh, springtime is coming, and so I wanted to do something that was like announcing, oh, first day of spring, and I was like, well, maybe I'll do a sorcerer hat for that, which
But it's
almost didn't.
again, it's totally different style. It has
Yeah.
like a watercolor paint, it's so painterly. You have this next to like the neon sign, and
I
you're like,
know,
this came
different.
out of the same person. It's just maybe it is that you're separating some with time, but
Yeah, and
I think it's just a really powerful exercise.
yeah, and I used to think, and I still do, like we all struggle to like find our style, I don't know. So I've kind of like stopped thinking about it that way. And I think this project has been a good example, because I'm like, you know what, I think it's okay for us to do like a variety of different things,
Mhm.
that sure, you can focus on one that you're like, more passionate about, or that you find is more exciting. But with these, I was like, all right, I can like do a bunch of different stuff and still call it my own, and maybe someone will recognize it as mine or not. And I don't know if that matters as much with these, but yeah. And then I've got one, which I think this one happened more early on, and so this was just like a fun exercise of something in like this multi-element type piece that just kind of has sparked some other things now that I'm
Mhm.
doing.
That one looks like, I'm older than you, but and Jeremy loves this one, he says. Um,
Oh, thank you.
and Mark says, this is what I think of when I think of your style, if he had to do it. But those
Yeah,
things that were red and they were like in the um, cereal boxes, and then you put the red film over it and then you could see the message. This
I
seemed
think
like one of
so. Yeah,
those that I
yeah.
think there was a time in something that you sent me that this was like grayscale, and you kind of had it in the back, so it was very just and then there was something on top of it, maybe not. I don't Amy
That's okay.
remembers. It was like colorblind test sort of, but you could see. But these, just because you're really doing something with scale, with the small
Mhm.
little pieces and then the big pieces, and then they're not, all the buckets aren't the same size, and it's
Right.
just
Yeah.
really, really fun.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I don't, and again, it was just like, you know, just something I thought I needed to do. I don't know, but it was fun for
How
me for
long did
sure.
this one take, you think?
Um, I'm really bad at like tracking how long it takes to do stuff, because I
Do you have to
probably
track your time at work?
no, no, not specifically, but
Thank
I'm bad.
goodness if you're not
Yeah,
good.
no, we don't do that. But just even at like, because I think I'm jumping around. Like I might have started this and then I got sick of like looking
All
at
the
it, because I was like tired of it. And then I would jump to other stuff. So, but I'm sure it took me a while. Because it's not like there's repeating
Mm-mm.
elements, but there's no like duplication of sections. So
Right.
I literally, this was the first of this kind. And so from this, I learned a lot of important things about making sure they're all on different layers, like all the elements, even though I know that was like, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to throw it all in there and do it. But in the newer ones, I've made sure all these, like each individual things are on their own layers so that I can work with them a little easier. But, and this one was years ago. So, but yeah, so that was like, there's some others that I've done that you might see on my social, but these were kind of just like a good like highlight of those. And then I've just got a couple of like other,
so these are just kind of side things that you decided, or you got inspired and you wanted to make something.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So like I wanted to try and do some more badges.
Like out of a normal week, how often are you taking time at night? And now you have a little one. You're married, you have a little one, so time is very precious.
I stay up late. Like in this time, like things are shifted now because there's some other stuff going on. But every night I was working on stuff. My daughter would go to sleep, and then my wife and I would have time. We'd watch TV and stuff. And at this time she was teaching, so she was getting up earlier and she was going to bed earlier. So that was like my time to then kind of just work on stuff and still like, just making sure I give myself a little time to, pursue these types of things. But these things, it was like every night I was trying to like work on any of the stuff going on or trying to think of new stuff to do. Just because it was fun, and I also kind of felt like I had to, like an obligation,
Do you feel like you have a team of other people that either from a Slack group or people who are kind of helping you push you on to do that, or just with social media, your friends and the people that you follow and the people that follow you, that you've created a community? Because I feel like you have that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, we do. Definitely got, have other friends in design and stuff on Slack groups and people that are doing a lot of their own passion projects and, showcasing that stuff, which inspires me to continue to do mine, because I think I see the value in what they're doing and, want to achieve that same thing for myself, because it feels good when you can, you're like, well, this is not for anyone in particular but myself. And, that's just should be enough, because then you never know how that will impact a project at work or something else that you can like apply that, style to or something.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, it's important to have other people, those others around you that support that. But at the end of the day, it is on you to push yourself to sit down and do it. So, so that hasn't stopped for me. That continues to be a like.
Were you always like that, even as a kid? Were you really driven?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely escalated as I've gotten older, and there's a lot more things I want to do. So I think after, I think the drive to work for Disney has sparked that like need to, get better at what I'm doing, learn more things, improve my skills, because I know, there are just, there are competitive jobs out there, and I just want to do the best I can for myself and, try to make, my own work better. So I've gotten more driven since, the internship ended, and then I think the fact that I didn't get a job with Disney full-time right away, like, ignited that big fire that I was like, all right, so I'm not at Disney. I'm jumping around to some other jobs over 5 years. What else am I going to be doing that, is going to help me, look for that Disney role and have the portfolio to support that.
So this is one key is the portfolio, but there's another huge part is the relationships that you build, and then the kind of team player mentality that you're putting in. So can you talk a little bit about that? So did you stay in contact with the people that you were in internship with?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, cause anywhere it's also about building relationships, networking. And, you know, as an intern, there was some good opportunities to network with people. And so I took that
Like,
very, very
like
seriously.
what kind, if somebody wanted to work, like not maybe specific, but what kinds of things were these great opportunities? Was it
Like networking events for interns, and we would do a lot of meet and greets. So like your leadership would help you, you know, I would say, hey, I'm interested in this area. You know, is there anyone that I can meet with that would help, you know, explain to me what this area does? And, you know, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, let me meet with as many people as I can from different
right?
areas and learn about what Disney has for, you know, creatives, and, you know, where I feel like I might want to end up, or, you know, try to end up in getting a job in. So the networking piece of it, I think, is like the biggest, you know, thing that that internship was, you know, was giving me to try to, you know, meet different people within the company and explore areas that I might want to work at.
So my sister told my friend one time, they were talking, and she was like, well, maybe I want to do this. And she's like, well, why don't you go talk to people in these departments and see?
Yeah.
And she wasn't an intern, you know, she was a full-time employee at this company.
Yeah. It
But I
doesn't
think,
change really.
right, I think it's
Mhm.
just about starting those relationships. You might decide, oh, after I talk to them and see what they do, that's really not a good fit. So
Mhm.
then you can focus in. But I think having those conversations is great, but then
Yeah.
those people in those departments may not know the things that you do in your department
Right.
that your department does, and then you might be able to service that department in another way as well. So it's just opening some doors, but it does take extra effort. This isn't something that you're doing during the 9 to 5 usually. Sometimes
Right.
it's like before work you're going to grab coffee, or you're, you know, eat lunch or something with
Right.
someone that, and you're
And not
really just
being,
asking them
yeah,
about their job.
yeah, and not being afraid to follow up. You know, there's, you know, the fine line there, but you definitely want to, for someone that you want to keep, you know, have them keep you top of mind for things. It's, you know, it is hard to put yourself out there, and especially on like social media and stuff with like, you know, showing work and but you know, I think that is kind of a new way of like, you know, networking, without even, I mean, you're trying, but it's, you know, you never know who's going to be seeing stuff out
Right.
there. So yeah, it's definitely like you have to stay determined for sure.
Right. Okay. So,
Oh, so you want me to keep
yeah,
going?
show us, because this next thing is also very different.
Yeah, so this was just like a fun thing I did for last year, actually, just a Halloween Oogie Boogie
So much texture,
preview
like you're
thing.
adding.
Yeah, so some of them have like some texture elements that I'll go ahead and I'll bring in Photoshop and stuff. And then this was for Mickey's birthday, just like a fun, you know, thing for me, because I'm thinking about it too. I want to like, you know, post something socially and, you know, celebrate Mickey's birthday in my own way. And so this
Mhm.
is something I put out there. Um, can I close this one and open
Yeah.
up a new one
Yeah.
quick?
Let's see.
So,
All right. So I'm going to ask. So I'm going to go to question 4, which is about those relationships, which we've started to talk and
mhm.
about, and it's really important. No matter what size your company is, relationships are incredibly important.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's at larger companies, it's a little bit easier to go unnoticed, and maybe struggle to meet people or make connections that are outside of your team. I think
Mhm.
sometimes it's harder to work on projects for other teams, or volunteer, or jump in as needed. Um, and sometimes that stuff, like I said, happens on nights and on the weekends. Sometimes there's like a fun run and they need people to volunteer or whatever. So what kinds of things have you done at Disney that has helped? It's really, you've just kind of said, hey, it's kind of going the extra mile,
Mhm.
for a team, or for your team, or for a different team, where you're able to work on projects that are maybe outside of your normal job responsibilities. And how often are you doing this?
Um, Pretty often. Like you know, it's kind of general, but I think we're we're the kind of team that like, you know, we'll jump in wherever the help is needed. So like there's sometimes that for, you know, executive presentations that might have a ton of slides for a presentation that we need done rather quickly because it's high priority, we'll divide and conquer on those a lot, because it's not, not only is it not fair to just dump it on one person, but it also, because the, priority of it will, be better for us to divide it up, kind of thing. I just think being willing to jump in and help out with, with anything is like an important thing you want to be able to do, because you're just, showcasing that you can, take on something other than your workload to help someone else, I think is, important. But yeah, it does happen a lot. I think it could be, even just little things, just between the designers dividing up work and checking in and making sure we've got, no one is completely overloaded and stepping in, and taking on projects that, you may not have had on your list originally. And then I think outside of that, and even for like the Disney Parks blog, I think I started that because a friend who was doing some stuff for them had too much on his plate, and he asked if I would help out and take on one of these wallpaper designs for them. And that kind of helped spark the tons of stuff that I'm doing for the Disney Parks blog now, which I'm like super thankful for. So you just never know how like one little favor, jumping in to help someone do something can turn into something a lot bigger than you imagine. So
absolutely. And it's also about relationships, and like you're saying, it builds team, like your team feel.
Yep.
That's why you want to work with them. That's what makes you feel good about going to work. But then there's a lot of repeat business, I think, after when you're able to put things in, and the blog or the patterns or anything else just adds to it. It's not necessarily part of your regular day job. All right, tell us about this. Mark says he remembered when you were starting the Star Wars ones.
Yeah, so, and then I'll jump to the Parks blog stuff since I mentioned that. But these were, again, just like personal projects, things that I had never done any Star Wars stuff before. And so there was a lot of buzz with the new movie coming out. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do some like Star Wars things. So these are just some helmet and just a random BB-8 heart. I think I did around Valentine's Day because that was just like a fun holiday themed thing I wanted to do. And then I went to do a Kylo Ren, and so for these I wanted to show the before and after. So this is like my solid, like complete vector, and then I would take the vector stuff and then do all my like effects and stuff in Photoshop, just because that's one of the ways I'm comfortable working. But that's not to say that that's how it needs to be done. I do go back.
Definitely a superpower for you.
Yeah, I go back and forth a lot. I try to build as much as possible in Illustrator and then do as much lighting and stuff. I think too, it's about what I'm comfortable with. So I've gotten better in Illustrator with lighting just from practice and stuff. But I also enjoy doing different effects and lighting stuff in Photoshop.
But you had to start somewhere when you were doing those lighting. You weren't great the first time you came out of the, doing it. And so you've perfected it. And Andre says, oh, so Naomi says, can you go back and forth a couple times? So can you go back to the red background? Sure. So was there a reason you did a red background because you wanted that red glow behind it? Or did you end up cutting that out when you went to Photoshop?
This was just for the vector sample. So like I knew I wanted it to have this background, but for the sample, I don't know. I could have done it silver. I don't think there was like a big reason behind the red. It just gives it a pop. And I think too, when I did do an animated GIF of the before and after, so I think I just wanted maybe the red to give it a more dramatic difference so that you could see it was going back and forth between the first look and then the new look, when I took it a step further. So and then I did that. So then this was a Darth Vader. And then I also did, and actually a lot of these like initial glows and stuff are in Illustrator. And then there's just a few, like the blur and stuff I took in Photoshop, but then some of the extra shine points I added in Photoshop. But this was one I tried to push a little more in Illustrator. And then this little lightsaber before. Yeah, this one's
pretty impressive.
And then the final one. So yeah, this was where I stopped in Illustrator and then just took it to Photoshop after that.
All right. So Doc asked a question. And he says he's been in and out, so he's sorry to cover this, but I don't know what IP means, so you're going to have to interpret. So,
our intellectual property.
Okay, so thank you.
Sure.
So, how has working with other people's intellectual property been to navigate from the viewpoint of fan art versus look what I can do, trust me to work with your intellectual property in the hopes of landing a gig like you got with Epcot? Or you can say, I choose not to answer that by saying the word rooster.
Let me see. I can't see the question anymore.
That's our safe word. We'll just move to the next.
No, let me see. If other people. So I guess, so is it like, are you asking if it's okay that we're.
So I think he's saying, like, how is it working with somebody's intellectual property, and then it's like as just fan art, right? People see it as fan art, and then how does it go from being fan art to saying, building that trust, I think, with the brand that says, hey, look at what I could do, you could trust me, like being more of a professional with their brand. How do you bridge that gap, I think is what he's asking.
Like when it comes down to actually doing this stuff officially for Disney, I'm not on my own there. It's like there's approvals and things that has to happen. But you want to give your take on something first, and you put together, if it's for an art piece that you're trying to have done officially, it's just kind of like presenting your concept and seeing if there are concerns, and if there are, then you take that back and you work on that and figure that out. So I think for like the fan art stuff, I'm always trying to like stay true to like my type of work and to the characters and having fun with them. I think as long as it's a fun, positive take on stuff, I think for any type of character fan art like that, I think that's important, so that it's like light and fun and positive is important.
So one of the things
that answers the question.
So he kind of clarifies a little bit. He said there seems to be times when brands embrace it and others when they shun it. And so I would think one of the reasons, what I've seen, is that you're coming from a professional, like Jay's a professional, not even if you didn't work at Disney, you're professional. You do a lot of work, and there's consistency no matter what brand you're doing it for. And so that there's trust within that. But you've also created these series. You're also talking about creativity and things like that. But then which I think would build trust on some of the brand. But then there are some brands who might say, no, I don't. It's about trust. I think, we only want people within our walls to do Google stuff or.
I don't know. I mean, again, I think as long as you're putting something out there that's in a positive view of that what brand. It is, then I think, it's up to you, like how to, approach that. But I think it's, important to keep it light and fun.
So Mark asked 2 questions, then Doc asked another question. So Mark says, and do you feel an increase in pressure? And then he says, and now you're officially a Disney fine artist. Does that mean you have to stop or limit how much stuff you can do or post on social media? Does anybody call you into an office and be like, right?
No.
Is that rooster?
No, I mean, I don't know. I like there is a lot of pressure I'm feeling, but it's good, like good pressure. Like right now, with everything going on, I am real excited, and there's a lot of like, good stuff, positive stuff surrounding the work I'm doing now. So I'm just kind of running with that and trying to, with some of the ways that I've been trying to do some other stuff that are Disney, it's been more through the official channel of Disney Parks blog and other social media areas that I've been able to do some work for. So I've been really, because that is that kind of like was the reason why I was doing a lot of the reason why I was doing a lot of the personal on my own stuff was because I was trying to work my way up to things that are happening for me now. So I would probably say, it definitely benefited me to do a lot of those personal fan art side projects, because I was trying to work on a skill or work on a look, and sharing that, I think, is okay, as long as, you're being positive about it, and it's,
Right.
it's just for fun. So.
So Doc has a question that I think Noah Elias really answered. You can watch it's a really old episode, but he does a lot of stuff for Disney also. But again, it's always in a very positive light. He's done really large scale things. He's an airbrush artist, but he's just amazing. And he has so I'll try to I will put the link in the show notes. But so Doc asks, when or is it ever a green light to sell at craft or expos when you don't have permission from companies? Companies just seem to pick and choose when they go after with a cease and desist. So so I think what Jay said is go through the correct channels, be positive about what your impression of the brand, and then you can always start connections, start relationships. But I think Noah really covers us a lot, so that way maybe it's not all on Jay.
Well, I honestly don't know a lot about that, unfortunately.
That's okay.
Yeah, I should watch the Noah episode though.
But he does. He was an outside artist and he was selling stuff and it was fine art. But then Disney really saw his unique take. I think that's one of the things, and it was always in a positive light. So I think that what Jay's saying is the same things that what has helped you stand out as an artist for Disney, as not an employee, but as a fine artist, is different and unique. Do you want to show some of that stuff?
Yeah, sure. Because a lot of that too, I see him as like the personal art is like my exercises, to do some stuff that has helped me do what I'm doing now. So this is like a series of the stuff that I started doing for the Parks blog. This one is these are more recent, so you'll kind of see like how some of the other stuff might have influenced some of these things. So a lot of these are driven around holidays because the Parks blog does highlight a lot of holiday stuff. So those things that I do for them, or different anniversaries. So a lot of like some of the stuff that I did with that, like painterly,
the flowers,
and then the sorcerer hat piece on the cliff. Some of the paintbrush technique things I was testing out kind of also helped with this one. And then Sorcerer Mickey, 4th of July. This was celebrating Pocahontas' anniversary. Happy Fall. And then Nightmare Before Christmas. And then a lot of these, they're usually like a desktop wallpaper, iPad, iPhone, Apple Watch. I would try to do, depending on the design, I would try to do that full collection for all of those pieces. Sometimes if I can't like crop certain ways. I'm usually now thinking about it ahead, like, okay, I want to do mobiles for these, so how is that going to look? But, some of them get a little crazy. And then
one of your superpowers, Jay, seems to be color, and how you're able to really use color in you're using limited palettes, you're using pop colors, you're using different kind of. Has color always been something you were good at, or is that something you've worked at?
I've worked at it a lot. I think with these, it is very difficult to try to like figure out, what pieces need to pop, what I want to fall more in the background. So yeah, I don't know that I ever found it. Even now, I don't really find it easy. But yeah, I'm continuing to work on it, and every piece is different, so that's fun, but it's a challenge. So I think with these specifically, I've gotten better to know, what I think works in terms of like what kind of elements should be the ones in the forefront and what needs to be a little bit more in the background. But I struggled a lot early on, even in college, like where I always had like, maybe it was assembled right, but everything kind of like had the same priority. And so I was struggling, like trying to figure out how to, tone things down, and maybe the whole less is more type scenario, which in these, it's funny because like there's nothing less about this. There's just like a lot of stuff. But even, like for something like this one too, it's like there is like a ton going on, but I still feel like you can make your way through it.
You can, but just like in the Christmas one, Mickey is kind of the place of rest.
Yeah.
So there's not a ton of detail in his beard, or it's there in shading, but it's not like he's the place of rest. And I feel like with the others, there's like line work that's similar and that draws you into the guys, there's just pieces. So I think you're really doing well there.
Well, thank you. It's definitely a new challenge with every single one of them. And usually, I swear to God, with like every one of these, I'm like, this was a bad idea. This is not gonna happen. I just.
But that means you're pushing yourself, so you are uncomfortable, and so that is a key, I think, for people to remember, is that when you're doing something new, it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is. And like from these, I, just with this relationship, I segued a little bit and started doing some help for some of the other Disney social channels. These are for like Disney Family. So there was some bookmarks that they do that you can like print out at home.
Oh, fun.
And then they do like Disney coloring pages. So this is the flat art for that. And then there was a Pixar wallpaper, mobile wallpaper for the Pixar account. And then there was for Disney Princess, for the anniversary of Snow White, they were having multiple artists do their own take on a Snow White piece. So I was like super excited with Snow White being my like all-time favorite film, doing this piece that was on the Disney Princess account and then on display at the El Capitan Theater for the screening of the anniversary, for the movie and everything. So that was like really exciting.
And it's similar, but it's different. It's, again, you're continuing to push, and then you're making these graphics different from you, but also different from how we know them. And it's in this has such like, I just want to eat this. It's so,
thank you.
I just love this piece. And is this one of the Wonderground?
It is not.
Okay.
Not. No, I know.
This one is.
I'm sorry.
I really love this. I love that you try a lot of different styles too. To me,
yeah, I think this having happened most recently for her anniversary being like, I think this one was last December or the December before. But this kind of, once I had this done, it sort of like, stuck with me that this is where I feel like I can pursue more of this type of thing, especially with like the Parks blog stuff. I feel like a lot of that is leading up to what's happening for me now. And then I've just got one more for Disney villains.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, I had to do like the Evil Queen. But this one was just more basically just trying to push myself to do like solely the character art piece of it. There are some little things that I kind of tweaked with the crown and just to kind of give it a subtle different look, but I was still trying to stay like really true to the character here.
So Mark has a question. He said, do you just keep a running list of things in a notebook that you want to work on, or do you just start something up when the mood hits you?
It's in my head. Like I have not, with the Wonderground stuff, I've definitely made some lists, but a lot of this other stuff, I'm just, if I feel, it inspires me, I just, jump in and start. But yeah, a lot of the stuff I haven't really listed out. But
okay, so I got another question. So
sure.
Doc, and I know we're at the end of our time, so I really appreciate it. So Doc has a question. Is it the story of Snow White that you love, or is it that it was so groundbreaking, how groundbreaking the movie was, that it makes it your favorite?
I think like every part of that is like a lot of the reasons why. I mean, what it did for Walt, is super important and kind of a big reason why we're all here, I think, and why Disney is super, super successful. But just the look of the film and the story, the way that it's told, in the Disney way. And there is just like a look to it and a feel to it that is like no other, and kind of I could say the same thing about Sleeping Beauty, which is my second favorite. But I love it. I don't know.
Well, that's good to know. So what pieces, and if you can just show us really fast, sure. Wonderground pieces that made it in, and I know you don't, me and you talked and you were like, I don't even know how I really got in this, but you were so excited to get in.
Yes.
But what were so how does it work? You just got contacted, and these were pieces you had done already, or you were?
No, these were, yeah, these did not exist. And so I was contacted just out of the blue, and it was, really exciting. And so we just had a conversation about, you know, what I would do. And I just presented, some ideas to them, and, making sure that that was okay, and just waited for the okay on those. And so these were solely produced for Wonderground Gallery.
So
And
how much time from the pitch to when the final work was done?
I think I had from May to September.
Okay.
Which probably was about the amount of time that I've been working on on all of these. It really, like, I've never, I mean, I barely slept for a long time. So that was like it was really hard for me to make that adjustment. But because, I mean, I would always, even on all those other projects, I said I would stay up late and I'd work on those. And this was like nothing else I experienced, like, for me, personally, just the amount of time and effort, because I wanted it so bad. And I wanted it to be the best, representation of my work, that there's a lot of just pressure you put on yourself to make sure that it's going to be good. And so this Sleeping Beauty one, I mean, all the pieces took a while. This was probably the most difficult to arrange and figure out. So I made, for Mark, here's the list portion, I made a list of, the pieces and parts that I knew I had to have in it, because that's what I wanted, and I think what the fans would want. And then created those, built those, and then would figure out how to arrange it. So unlike all those other pieces, these are the first ones that I've done sketches for. And I actually haven't shared this before anywhere, but this is the final composited sketch. And I say that because I sketched out a lot of different pieces first, and then laid them all out and tried to figure out how they would look together. And then I would just start filling in areas little by little, and then cutting them out, piecing, kind of like a puzzle. And then this on the right just shows you, like, once I got the characters built, I wanted to make sure that things were like going to start and flow together. And you can see where
Illustrator or Photoshop?
Yeah. So this is, in the end, all completely Illustrator. Well, so mostly Illustrator, about 90%, which has never happened for me. Like, there's very few things in here I went back in Photoshop to just like lightly test touch-ups with lighting, and you could, like, the glow with the spinning wheel and stuff. So I think I learned a lot with this one, and I was really happy that I was able to do a lot of it in Illustrator, because it had been something I'd been working on for a while with Illustrator. And then sorry, go ahead.
Oh, so Doc says, have you ever tried using Kaleidoscribe? It helps you place items like stars and sparkles. I know you have them.
Yeah.
Have them all being unique, but I can see this. It's an Astute Graphics software. If it's a plugin that Astute Graphics has for Illustrator.
It's funny. Before I started these, I did get some of those, and I have for these first pieces are some of the ones that I've started using those on. So yeah, that was really nice. Yeah, there's a bunch of different plugins that I think have been a little helpful, and I need to work on that a little more. But
so Lorenzo had a question. He's like, where can I get copies of these? Like, buy these for prints, or are these available through the Wonderground Gallery?
They are only available right now at Epcot for the festival, and then as soon as that ends, I'm not 100% sure what. I think they will distribute to the galleries, but I'll be sure to update, like, on my social media on where you can still get them. So, because there's canvases, prints, postcards,
right.
And so once we progress to the galleries, I'll know a little more about that. So I can definitely share that update.
And Jay Scott wants to know if you know Dave Clayton from Astute Graphics. Have you ever met him?
I do. Okay. Yeah, I do know Dave.
He's next week, just so y'all know.
Cool. Yes, I do know him. Yep.
Okay.
And then I'll just take you through. Then there's the Little Mermaid. which, you know, is another favorite film of mine.
This one's awesome as well. It's different, you know, you're
It
using
is,
more gradient instead of such
Mhm.
flat, but it's I just find it really refreshing that you can use different styles so well.
Yeah. And with this, you can tell, like on Sleeping Beauty, I really, the characters I just preferred to be very true. Almost there is some subtle differences and touches that I've added to help them look a little different, but for the most part, they are pretty spot on. And then just because that for me, I'm like, this is what I'm feeling for this one. And then with Ariel, there's a noticeable just difference to her look, but she is still, you know, a more on model Ariel. And then I've got a Figment piece, which I do have a sketch for that I can share as well.
Oh,
So this
cool.
is my composited crazy sketch. And then for that one, I probably got more specific on every element. I did struggle a lot with the layout on this one, but it came together. So
Yeah.
so yeah, but all of these are available now at the festival only, and then I'll be sure to share.
When does the festival end? So if people want to go and see, they can see it at Epcot until when?
Till the 25th
Of February.
of February. Yeah,
Okay.
of February.
I
Yep.
was like,
So I know where are we?
2019, just in case anybody.
Yes, 2019. Yeah. So, but yeah, so those are the
Jake
Wonderground pieces.
had a question that I think probably other people are asking. I know when I've done things for my university, sometimes if it's for my department, it's just free, right? But when I do something for another department, a lot of times it's free because I'm just helping out. But sometimes, like this Wonderground, you were commissioned. And so this is a separate for, I would think, maybe
all this is like on my own time at home. So it is they're a separate part of
contracts.
The so yeah, there's different contracts and stuff. So, but then again, it's like all on me to find that time, you know, and deal with being sleep deprived for a while, and,
right,
and not see my family, and so.
And obviously, you can't let your work suffer at your day job to do things like this. So
I looked at. Oh, sorry. So you're gonna ask like how I managed that?
Yeah.
I tried to take some vacation days where I could, and then honestly, I really like the weekends was, you know, a super important time because yes, I still had to be at work full time, and the weekends I was just locked up in my office, you know, all day.
Right.
That's no joke. So it was really because I knew that was just the bulk of the time that I had, you know, to make some good progress, and then prepare certain things so that during the week maybe there was little things that I focused on here and there that were shorter amounts of time, so that I, you know, we were very behind on all of our TV shows. Let's just say that. So, you know, I would just try to use my weekend time and prepare for certain things during the week. But I mean, I was going to bed pretty late even during the week. So a lot of coffee.
So Jay, we didn't get to finish, but we got very, very far. So I'm very excited. So I'm going to share how people can, because when you'll be sharing how people can purchase these on your social media and probably on your website as well. So I want to make sure everybody knows. So I'm going to spell these out just so that people don't confuse Jay with just a J. So you can follow Jay on Instagram at Jay Ratner, JayRatner 81. And then same way, except not the 81, you're the only Jay Ratner, JayRatner on Twitter. And then you can follow his everything on his website with just a J, just the letter J, Ratner, design, singular.com. So I thank you so much for giving us so much of your time. I
appreciate it.
So glad. You're super inspiring. Awesome. I love that you have multiple styles and you have a great drive, and it's very inspiring for me to just keep pushing even when things get hard, to just keep going, you know. It's also really important that you have the support of your wife, and your daughter's a little too young to be super supportive, I guess, but
she picks up on it though. It was really sweet, you know. She's like, oh, daddy has to work, and you know, so it is hard though. Yeah, everybody goes through it, you know, in their own way.
Absolutely. So
Cool.
I just want to, Mark has asked me twice now to bug you about going to Creative South this year. So of course we always want to see you.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just putting the bee in your bonnet that we'd love to see you. And cool. Josh Lewis says, great to hear more about your job and the Festival of the Arts pieces. They are really amazing. I hope that you continue to be a part of that
Me too.
festival because I can just imagine it would be really amazing to be a part of it, but it's also it's so nice to be recognized, like all this hard work, that it's one of those goals. And I think that's something that we need to do. If we have this big goal, that we should just set it, even if it's a big goal, we should just set it and then figure out how to get there. So
you never know at what point, something can come your way. And I mean, I didn't expect this. So it was, I've been working towards it, but you still don't expect it to happen. I don't know. So yeah, it's definitely just stay patient and determined for sure.
Right. And humble. I think you're also really humble. Definitely. You're really willing to learn. You're a team player. You talk to people. You can't be super shy, right? You have to be willing to help and
for sure.
Put all that in. So just so you guys know, next week we have Dave Clayton. We're Love on Designers. We do the whole month of February, which I know it's the smallest month, which sort of seems like the worst month to be loving on everybody. But this is a month where 1 week you love on yourself, but really sometimes you love on maybe a mentor or somebody you love on, somebody you're mentoring. And then there are other things that you can just do to encourage each other. And so the whole month is just about community. So we start on Friday. We will have a Dave Clayton show on Wednesday. And then my friend Jody, who does a lot of community stuff, just outreach within her area where she is in Idaho, just people who are very community oriented or who are building a community, having them on the show. And I just want to give you I'm excited for y'all to be, again, hopefully part of Love on Designers. So I just want to remind you, always the best ways for you can support the show is to share, do a review on iTunes, or now, I guess, Spotify. So we're on Spotify, so you can actually check it out on Spotify. I'm super excited to finally be there. And then you can also support the channel by going to patreon.com/Diane Gibbs and support the show that way for as little as $1. Even $1 helps just get extra things done. And then the best way I've learned to use, and when I'm teaching my students how to design web pages, is through Elementor, the Elementor plugin. You can click on this link. It's an affiliate link, so I get a little piece of the pie there. You don't pay any more for me to get a piece of the pie, but it's bit.ly, bit.ly/dr Elementor. And I'll put these in the underneath. And then also the Divi theme is the theme that I really prefer to use. I've tried some other ones, and I really do like the Divi theme. It makes using Elementor a little bit easier. And you can do that one at bit.ly/Diane Loves Divi, Divi. And then one thing that's changed and I'll have a new Audible link, but this is the link where you get 2 free books, and it's bit.ly/design recharge. So it's really easy, and you get 2 free books. And I have the gold membership. I don't know if there's a higher membership, but it's $14.95 a month. I get 1 new book a month, and I don't even know if you can buy a book for $14.95, a regular book. So I think it's a total deal. And I love hearing authors read books. I listen to fiction and nonfiction, lots of business books and stuff like that. But if you haven't ever, you don't have to use that link. You could just go straight there. It doesn't matter to me. But I definitely think learning is good, and I have a long commute, so I like listening to books. So I hope you guys will give us a review on iTunes if you don't do anything else, and listen to us on Spotify. So Jason, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jay. I'm not supposed to call you Jason.
No, either one. That's fine.
Just don't call me Constance. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next week with Clayton.